Okay, I have it recording, so just be mindful of that. If you did have any questions, I do want to honor your time and go ahead. I'm going to, at the end, open it up for individual IEP questions, but do keep in mind that this is recorded and it will be sent out to other people who registered for this course, okay? So just be mindful of that. You might not want to share everything and understand. So anyways, okay. Let me pull up my PowerPoint. This better work. Okay, Ken, are y'all seeing my PowerPoint? Okay, thanks, Jody. I'm seeing your nods, so yay. Okay, so my name is Brandy Kaufman. I'm the creator of the Kaufman Method. Hold on, it's making me admit, click people in. So anyways, I've been in education for about 15 years. I just recently went back into it even more. Oh yeah. Go back. Well, got too much on my screen. Hold on. Okay, so here we are. This is my husband. I put this picture of us just to welcome us. I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself. So like I said, I'm Brandy Kaufman. I'm a mom of two. I'm married to this fine young man. We're actually high school sweethearts. And he is just, I put him here just because, one, I thought that was a cute picture of us too. And also because he's just so stinking supportive of me. When I became a teacher, I knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was 17 years old. I went to college to become a teacher, but not just any like a traditional gen ed teacher. Even in college, I pulled out and was going to be a special ed teacher. So there was just like two of us in my whole college, and my college wasn't huge, but still had to go across town to a different university because I was the only one in that field. So anyways, we did the whole route of education. And this man right here, he put me through school and just stood by me, all the special ed stuff, all the bulletin boards. So he's a total trooper. I think one thing that helped me become who I am is my mom had significant people in our lives growing up that had special needs. So we were really close with a family whose daughter was born via C-section, but she had complications, and so she lost oxygen, which created cerebral palsy. Also, because of that trauma at birth, she was nonverbal, and then she also was non-mobile, and toileting and all of those independent living skills she does not have. But I had the privilege of being around her so much and just seeing the intelligence that was inside of her, although she couldn't communicate that through verbal language. So I think it helped change my perspective at a very young age of people with disabilities and with special needs. My mom also hired a babysitter that had Down syndrome. And so it was just fun. My mom was just great at normalizing people with disabilities. And so I think that really shaped who I am. And I want that for my kids too. I want them to be around people with special needs. So that's not really what this is about. But so anyways, my passion for people with special needs runs very deep. So one thing I wrote, I put this PowerPoint together and kind of just wrote out my story of the last four years to the last 15 years. And so one thing that I do is I burn really hot. So I am all in or I am all out. And my passion for special education is huge. Today at teacher training, we were talking about your why. And so what is your why? And, as a 23-year-old teacher, I couldn't really articulate with words my why. I could only do that through my work ethic, through conversations with other teachers, with conversations with diagnosticians that always weren't like super positive. I can be quite the fighter when I need to. And those of you who are special needs moms, you know, like you fight for your kids. And sometimes it's exhausting. And about 4 years ago, I kind of was done. I felt like I had lost my passion. I had learned a lot. I had incorporated Special Olympics. I had incorporated Meet in the Middle. And I just felt like I was just tired. And it led to burnout. So burnout for me looked like packing up my classroom in 2015. And I didn't think I would look back, but here I am as of today, back in special education. I'm going to be teaching about 5 kiddos in this fall. The kiddos that I will be serving are pretty significantly disabled, if you will. They're nonverbal. Most of them are non-mobile, all have daily living skills that they need assistance in. And so it'll be me and 2 assistants and a few nurses, and we're going to just rock it out. During burnout, I had a chance to just kind of reflect and refine who I am as an educator and what I believe as a special educator. Also, a couple things is, I don't know if many of you are in Texas or not. One thing that's interesting in Texas right now is there is a federal lawsuit against Texas and special education. So in Texas, and I don't think it's just Texas, I think it's nationwide that we sometimes don't provide the best services for our kiddos with special needs. And so that's what we're struggling with in Texas, and we have the opportunity to improve on that. And so I'm kind of excited to be back in the ring, helping you guys with language and IEPs, and helping coach you, but also be in the field working and doing it. So the comeback is always stronger than the setback. I think that's my motto currently. I feel like I'm in my comeback. This Is My Fight song is definitely like playing in my head. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. So that's just a little bit of my backstory. One thing that I feel like this statement right here changed the playing field for me in my classroom. So assessment drives instruction. So I've always taught in a classroom that is a self-contained classroom, meaning I was the teacher for English, math, reading, science, social studies, functional skills, okay? And when I first started about 15 years ago, we had a state assessment, but it was a complete blow off. You know, it was like, okay, come sit down and let's pretend you can fill these bubbles in and we'll turn it in, and nobody cared. Well, in Texas, they changed that, and we had to do a true test for our kiddos. And I always say I have a love-hate relationship. I hated doing it. I hated making that test, but I love it because it changed me as an educator. It made me realize that assessment, so when you test something, then it should drive your instruction. So your instruction should change. And so for me, instead of doing kindergarten, first grade level, artsy craft, Harry's on your quarters, tying your shoes, it made me think, okay, what can we do for a journal prompt? Can I teach these kids nouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs? What stories can we read? I don't know if they still read it, but there's a novel I think 4th or 5th grade used to read that's called Bud Not Buddy, and it's about the Civil War movement. And I thought, why can't my kids experience this too? So it just completely changed my perspective, and it helped me write better IEPs. So tonight, that's the main goal that I want to show you guys, is just how you can look at the gen ed curriculum and then look at the instruction that maybe your child can do. Okay, so another thing that many of you have probably seen and possibly implemented is a family vision statement. So I posted this cute little Pinterest, poster. And this is from our 3 little birds we're going to do an interview in the Kaufman method with the creator of this. So this is Miss Ellie. I think this is 3 years old now. But the purpose of this is something to take to the ARD meeting to set the tone. So one of my missions is to empower parents. So what I learned is I have a master's degree. I wanted to become an administrator because I thought when I become an administrator, I can implement more change. And as I was working in that realm, I realized that, yeah, maybe they have a little bit more change, but they really don't have the power to make systematic changes. The people that have the power are the parents, okay? You guys sitting at that IEP table have more control and more power than you might know, okay? And so having something like this, and it doesn't have to be this cutesy, that would be very stressful to me personally. I would have to have my sister-in-law make this for me, but having this at the forefront of just saying, okay, this is who we're talking about. This is my daughter. This is what she can do, what works for her, what doesn't work for her, what we're working on at home, all the things. And this visual just alone just keeps the meeting focused on her, okay? I love this. I think it's great. Honestly, it's rather simple to do. If you are interested in this, I'll drop that link to y'all, and she shows you step by step how to make it. It's in Canva. So the other thing is, if that's too much, just typing up a letter. So this is one of my students' letters that the mom would come, and we would start the ARD process, and she would say, can I read this to you guys? And she would just read it. We have high hopes and aspirations. The ARD process is the most appropriate place to share these goals to remind us why we are here. So we started the meeting with the mom setting the tone. And so I know that there are times that the meetings can be very intimidating. There's lots of language, there's lots of professionals, but go in with a game plan, write it out, and help direct that conversation always back to your kid and in a positive way. So you can read, we desire for Tristan to gain an understanding of his place in the world. We see him graduating, attaining skill sets, to be a contributing member. There's one thing, he seems to show a particular interest in the percussion section of the band. So that was a goal for her, okay? Now, this was 1 year. This was the next year. So we believe same thing. She didn't change too much. Let's see. I feel like she put in here about the band again, completing his homework, challenges. Well, maybe not. I thought she wrote about the band again. So this was in middle school, and this was last year. Okay. Notice it's changed a little bit. So this student is one of my close friends. He's not 18 or 19, so he's aging out. It's a little bit different. Some of the family dynamics have changed. There's nothing in here about the band anymore. And I texted her and I was like, hey, what happened with that goal? Like, did y'all ever get him into the band? And she was like, no, I just gave up on it. Breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart, because I met that mom when he was 5, and she marched into our elementary school and challenged everything about us. And she's given up, and it sucks. And so one of my missions is to help parents through IEP coaching to stay strong, and fight for your kiddos in a way that's productive. Sometimes we can fight for the wrong things and we can fight against each other, but my gosh, he should have been able to go and somehow into the band, okay? So, anyways, okay, so this is the section that I want to talk about, the curriculum. Okay, as an educator, when I was able to understand the vertical alignment and understand what gen ed is doing, and then scaling that down to what my kiddos could do, okay? So I worked with kids that have significant cognitive disabilities, so that means like there's at least 2 grade levels behind, okay? Oftentimes we tapped out about second grade, but now we're a freshman in high school, okay? So we still battle this mindset that people will say, well, what are they functioning at? Or my mom actually, God love her, she asked me that question, and I was like, don't ask me that. Don't say those kind of things, because how do you know? How can you measure a nonverbal person of what their cognitive ability actually is? Like, just because they can't respond doesn't mean they don't know what's going on. We just haven't been able to tap into that. So anyways, once I was able to understand this, it moved me past the cutesy stuff that I was doing, the tying the shoes, the linking cubes all day long. Not that those aren't still in my classroom, because they are, but that's not the main thing. I have beefier things. So Common Core is what everybody does except for Texas. Texas, we work in the TEKS. This is the curriculum. Common Core is most of the U.S. with some exceptions of other states, and I'm not even sure. But I want to show you the TEKS because curriculum is curriculum, okay? The things that you learn in math class are the same. I think the way Texas has laid it out is very systematic and easy to understand. So we're going to look at that. So this is the STAR alternate, which is the assessment that I was telling you guys about. This is kind of what changed my whole perspective. And it's fun to talk about it because it gets a lot of flack, because yes, we shouldn't just be focused on the STAR testing, but for our self-contained classrooms, this has made us become better teachers. So if we look here at the reading vertical alignment, okay, so it starts at pre-kindergarten and this goes through the end of course, which is freshman, whatever. So what it does is it takes each of the skills that your general education is working on, and then it shows the prerequisite skills to meet that, okay? So listening, speaking is one that I always like because, okay, for phonological beginning reading, students will use relationships between letters and sounds, spelling patterns, okay? They will to increasingly more complex text. So we can do separate four words, sentences into individual words. We can do syllables with clapping. Notice all of that's kindergarten stuff, okay? Well, I want to increase. I want to go beyond that. So what does it look like at, say, second grade? Okay, here's your digraphs, open syllables, decoding, different spelling patterns. Okay, so it might be harder to take a person who is a fifth grader who is still just working on CVC words like CAT, cat, dog, those kind of words. We might not be able to push them up here so much. So what I like to focus on is comprehension, because comprehension is where you can introduce different texts. So we read The Hunger Game. We would read Where the Red Fern Grows, not just watch the movie, but actually read the book. We would read all the Magic Treehouse books, all the different things. And I could introduce them to higher level thinking through oral reading, okay? So let me see. Okay, comprehension. So this is what students understand and make inferences and draw conclusions. So inferencing is saying, what do you think is going to happen? Predictions, inferring more information, drawing conclusions. Okay, that's at every grade level. That's an expectation for all kids at every grade level. So that includes our kids, right? So explain the structural element of poetry. You can introduce different poetry. Figurative language. All of this can be done orally, or if the student can't just say it orally, they can just listen to it. Why not have them listen to that versus Wheels on the Bus or, I don't know, Toad and Frog when they're in middle school? That's not appropriate anymore. Okay, so it gives us the chance to just beef it up a little bit. Math is probably one of my favorites. Just because to me, math is very black and white. So we're comparing and contrasting. Yeah, so here's the gen ed. of what they're doing, algebraic reasoning. We test in Texas our elementary kiddos that have cognitive disabilities on algebra, okay? And it is so fun to teach. It is so fun to teach. You do it hands-on, and you just introduce the concepts and let them see what they can or cannot do, you know, but we're not withholding the information. That's kind of what this document did for me, okay? One other area, let me see if I can get to it. And this is completely free. This is the TEA. Again, so my point is the vertical alignment, the TEKS, and the Common Core, they're going to look different, but if you wanted to use this as a parent and just say, hey, I want my kid to work on XYZ and give the educators this language, they don't have to know that it's TEKS. Like, that's still just what you do. That's part of Common Core as well. Okay, so the essence statement. So remembering what's the point of what we're doing. So I'm going to be in 6th grade. I'm going to teach 6th grade math. So let's look at this real quick. So this is the essence statements of last spring. This is the reporting period of what typical 6th grade students are expected. Okay, this is a lot of words. What's the essence? What's the meaning of that? Recognizes relationships in and between sets of numbers. So they have to recognize relationship, greater, less than, add one more, take away, all of those things. Find a solution to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, that's probably in the form of word problems, just simple being able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Okay, so the essence statement is always super helpful because sometimes I'm like, what does this mean? This is just the black and white, okay, the essence of the TEK. Okay, so those are 2 great resources that you can use just through TEA, just helping you as the parent get a better understanding of what gen ed is doing and then what is possible for your kid to do. And I like it because it takes it away, well, they can't do this worksheet. Well, what's the purpose of that worksheet? What are we working on? Okay, the gen ed teachers know the purpose of this worksheet is Common Core 4.2, okay? And then you could look at that and be like, okay, so what's the essence of that standard, okay? What's the main thing they're trying to learn there? And then, of course, the goals are supposed to be very measurable. So by the end of the month, given supports, whatever those are, manipulatives, counting cubes, or whatever, Sarah will add 4-digit numbers, 70%, with a grade average of 70% for each grading period, or something like that. So it just needs to be very measurable, that it has a time frame, so it's not over for the next 2 years. No, we're doing them at least 1 year with benchmark goals in between that. And then you can add in supports that say what whomever needs, state what it is, and then a measure. How are you going to measure this? Okay, and that can be different things. So let me show you one other thing before we move out, before I open it up for questions. Okay, we're doing good on time. Okay, so this is an area that we have pre-written a few different goals, and then we determine, okay, are these applicable to the students? It gives us just a jumping off point. So if you, as a classroom teacher, we have, 10 to 15 students that all have IEPs, so we have to come in with a little bit of a plan, as does the parent. So when you go to your ARD or your IEP meeting, the teacher's going to come with a document that looks filled out. That doesn't mean it's completely complete. Okay, you guys make needed adjustments as they're needed. But so here's just an example for language arts. This is a goal. It says hi. So this is a student that might be on a level 3. They can read at about maybe like a 1st, 2nd grade level, so they can read a few sentences at a time. They can read words that have consonant, vowel, consonant, short vowel, all the different digraphs and all of that kind of stuff. So by the IEP completion date, so we would fill this in. So by November 22nd, 2020, so our classroom, this is what we do in the classroom, given adaptive instruction, adaptive materials, altered assignments, the student will, so Sarah, will demonstrate an understanding and analyzing of a variety of texts. So it would just be one of these, but notice, so this is an 8th grade student. We're looking at what other 8th grade students are doing. So the goal for a traditional 8th grade student is to analyze a variety of written texts, okay? But we need to break that apart. So that's the goal, and then we break it apart. How is she going to analyze it? Okay, those are your objectives here. So I would rewrite these. I wouldn't do this as much. I would focus on analyzing. So by the end of the first grading period, given the text, whatever we're reading, Sarah will listen to the reading and answer the questions. Through a modified worksheet, she will answer the comprehension questions to X story or something like that. So then you can just break it apart, okay? So I want to unmute you guys here. And do any of y'all have any questions on this? Have you ever seen anything like this particularly?
I think the only question, I mean, I thank you for everything you do. It really, I mostly work with people that have children that are on the spectrum, and so I appreciate all your hard work. I've learned a lot from you. I love listening to you. And this is kind of maybe totally off topic, but is there a place where you put in the IEP about essential oils and when the kids can use them in the classroom?
So, okay, yes, you can. You have to really manipulate the words here because, I don't know, because people get weird and stupid. So what I try to talk about is sensory integration, which is all the graphics that I put out talk about sensory integration. And then mindfulness, self-soothing techniques, so things like that. So in the IEP, where we could write that in might be at a functional goal. So if Johnny is overly stimulated, he needs to follow his protocol. And on his protocol is, take a time out, go start the diffuser, sit in the beanbag, look at the wind chime, like whatever his things are. So you can write it and discuss it like that.
Because I know, like, one of the aromatherapists that I listen to, she will take it on a field trip and use certain ones like for calming when they get overstimulated to transition into other situations. And I'm sure that has to have parents' approval, but the school also has to be on board with it as well.
Yeah, I think in a public setting, it's always going to be a little bit tricky. At convention last year, I cannot remember her name. She does the street sharing, but she said that under the allergy law, that we can always be shut down.
Oh.
And I respect that so much because, there's so much crap on the market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I am preparing my room. I have my diffuser on. I will set it every morning when I come in. I have it behind like a pot of flowers. And I'm not going to rub on the kiddos. I'm not going to cross that boundary. But I will when conversation arises, and just using my diffuser.
Awesome. I really do. I could follow everything you do just the way you lay it out, and I think it's awesome. So I just wanted to thank you for that. But
I so appreciate that. Thank you. So Kayla, did you have any questions? I feel like you kind of just jumped on.
No, I'm late. Sorry. So I'll just listen for a while.
Yeah, you're good. So with the IEPs of looking at them as more of an academic perspective is the main purpose of tonight. I just wanted to show of how to access the gen ed curriculum and for inclusion or for self-contained rooms or whatever. Last year I was working with a kiddo and the family wanted inclusion, and she had Down syndrome, and the school completely fought us on it simply because she had Down syndrome. Not because she had behaviors, not because, or any other reason, because she had Down syndrome, and people with Down syndrome are segregated over here.
That's legal? I didn't even think that was legal anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I often say I feel like the civil rights movement did not affect our kiddos with significant disabilities. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, some districts are like, that's absolutely crazy, and some districts are like, yeah, this is where special ed kids go, you know.
Wow.
So I was trying to educate the parent on, if she were to go into the 5th grade classroom, the 5th grade expectation is not what we're holding her accountable to. We're holding her accountable to a prerequisite goal, but she can meet that goal in your room. You know, special education is a service, not a location. And that is a difficult concept. Did anyone have any question? You guys can unmute yourself if y'all have any questions or thoughts or anything. We just have about 7 minutes left, so I wanted to open it up. No, everybody's good. Well, for future reference, and those of you who are just wellness advocates and not parents, I will be doing some IEP coaching. I can do that privately, and I will be doing some group coaching as well. And so in those, and there will be paid for events, we'll talk about how to incorporate a good protocol for your family before school. So what oils are you using before school, after school, all of those things to help make sure that your child's doing a good job. Procedures, routines at home, and then again, all your IEP stuff. So, sorry, I'm trying to, it's not. There we go. Okay, yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. If not, that's really all I had for us today, was just going over this.
Well, thank you. And it's good to know that we can refer parents to you as well, so for private, you know, consultation.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited to do that. So absolutely, refer them to me. We'll probably start the first cohort group after school's underway, so September 12th or 15th or something like that.
Yeah, and good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Are you going to convention? I know Kayla is going to convention.
I went last year. I can't go this year because we're going to Hawaii, and so it was a trade-off. But I'll be live streaming it. I'm sad that I'm not going.
I know, I'm not going
But
this year.
yeah, maybe next year we'll meet there.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. But I do appreciate all you do. It's been really helpful. I have a couple of different people that I work with children. I'm sorry about the music in the background. If you heard, it's my husband who got a little.
Oh, you're good. Awesome. Rachel, did you have any questions or thoughts? I know you've experienced a lot of this.
Yeah, we have experienced a lot. That's partly why we homeschooled last year.
I know.
Yeah, they can be really frustrating. Since you don't have Common Core, do you know anything about essential elements? It's like a parallel track to Common Core that they put the special ed kids in that sort of references what the Common Core, you know, standards should be, but then it makes it simplified for special ed. And I had heard that once you start on that track, it's really hard to get out of it. And I don't know, Ruby Ann's second grade teacher, I think, plugged her into that track, and it was just, I don't know, they weren't pushing her along as much as they really
so maybe it was too watered down. I think Essential Elements is probably similar to what I was showing through the TA website, where we have the essence statements. I feel like, I might have. So, yeah, it's all about the teacher actually understanding how to present the information and a desire to do so, to not
Yeah.
worry too
Our
much.
school district really, I don't know, our special ed teacher actually said to me, there's no way that I can modify curriculum for 12 kids in 6 different grades with the amount of help I had. And I was like, but that's your job.
Mhm.
What else is she going to get if you're not going to modify curriculum? So her curriculum was just really, I don't know, it wasn't challenging, and it wasn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like it could have been so much more. So
Yeah. Well, and that's why, especially with reading, I focus so much on comprehension, because at the high school level, I had English 1, 2, 3, and 4 all at the same time. So I had to find a goal that we could work on as a class. And when you work on comprehension, I can modify just on the spot, you know. And then the coursework is a little bit more tricky, but if you're doing just writing, like I would accept papers and essays even if I couldn't read them, but they could read them to me, you know. So you have to just, it's hard for teachers to really flip their brain and understand the curriculum, honestly, like you should.
yeah.
But yeah, as a homeschooler, maybe using those tools to just help you feel like, okay, I'm on track, you know, I'm doing, hi honey. Just keep helping you stay on track and feel good. How are you?
Good.
Are you ready for school?
Yeah.
You are? Awesome.
You love school with mom, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. It's fun.
We're doing CC, and she learned so much, and see, she's smiling at you.
Yeah.
And remembered so much just because of the singing
Yep.
and the, you know,
The kinesthetic, the auditory, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I love CC too. I'm sad we're not doing it, but oh well.
season for everything.
That's right. All
Thank you
right.
for this. It was helpful. I love the graphic at the beginning with the mission statement and everything. That's a really great way to synopsize everything that you're working on.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, we're about to get kicked out. Did anybody else have any last minute thoughts or questions or anything?
Can you send me the recorded link?
Yes.
Or
Thanks.
Absolutely. Hi, honey. Got all the daughters in the room. Cutie. Did you have a question?
Are you gonna send a link for when you're gonna do the like one-on-one coaching and stuff?
I will. I will send that out. It will be after the school year gets started.
Our school year started today.
Oh, well, yeah. Nice. Are you
No,
needing?
she has an IEP in October.
Okay.
But the issue that we're having is she's 5, so she should have started kindergarten this year, but she wasn't ready, so we decided to hold her back. They tried putting her in Gen Ed, Gen Ed pre-K, but again, she's not ready. She's not verbal. So we were able to convince them to keep her in ESE VPK for right now, but they actually want her enrolled in kindergarten in January.
Oh, huh. That's interesting. I wonder why.
Because of her age, mostly.
Yeah, but she gets services through 22, so it doesn't, her age 1 year on either side is okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.